Hey, are you hungry?
Yeah?
Well, today, we're learning what happens to food when you eat it. Food is generally made up of 6 basic components: carbohydrates, proteins, fats, micronutrients like vitamins and minerals, fiber, and water. Right now, they're too big for your body to use, but that's where the human digestive system comes in. It's specifically designed to break food down so it's small enough to absorb, so we can grow and get buff. And it all starts in stage 1, the mouth. Did you know that just like all the spiders and bugs and stuff, we create digestive juices in our mouth? Saliva contains enzymes, which are special biological molecules that speed up chemical reactions, and in this case, they act like scissors. They lock onto their targets and then snip them into smaller pieces. But enzymes only work on exposed surfaces, so chewing your food into smaller pieces first creates more surface area to attack, making digestion much faster. In the mouth, the enzymes target carbs and fats, and by the end, the food is mushed into a slimy, semi-solid blob. Inside, carbs and fats have been digested a tiny bit, and some micronutrients have broken away from the food blob. But otherwise, everybody else looks unharmed, for now. The blob is then swallowed into the esophagus, a squishy tube connecting your throat to your stomach. When the esophagus senses food, it starts squeezing in waves, pushing it downwards in a process called peristalsis. At the end of the esophagus is a circular ring of muscle called a sphincter, which automatically opens when food approaches. Reaching stage 2, the stomach. Filled with corrosive hydrochloric acid. This acid is helpful for killing bacteria. You know, for when you drop your food on the floor and you eat it anyway. Although some bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli are acid resistant and can still give you food poisoning. But if the acid is so destructive, why doesn't it burn a hole through your stomach? Well, it protects itself by secreting a thick layer of bicarbonate-rich mucus that neutralizes the acid before it can cause any damage. The stomach also releases digestive enzymes which target fats and proteins. Proteins are normally tightly folded, complex structures, but the acid causes them to unfold, increasing their surface area so enzymes can attack them more easily. Meanwhile, the stomach is constantly churning, further mixing food in with the digestive juices. So after the stomach stage, proteins have undergone major digestion, fats have been broken down a little more micronutrients have crumbled away, a small amount of water has been absorbed through the stomach walls, and fiber still hasn't been touched. What we're left with is a semi-liquid mixture of food and digestive juices called chyme. It all exits through another sphincter, which lets tiny squirts through while keeping larger, undigested bits behind. Which leads us to stage 3, the small intestine. Part 1, duodenum. The small intestine is split into 3 main parts, and the duodenum is the first and shortest section. Right now, the chyme is still highly acidic, but without the same protective lining as the stomach. That's where the pancreas comes in, squirting bicarbonate-rich fluid that neutralizes the acid. It also releases a whole bunch of digestive enzymes that do some serious work on the carbs, proteins, and fats. There's one problem though. Fats naturally clump together in water, forming large blobs that are much harder for the enzymes to attack. You can see this yourself if you mix some oil and water together. The oil blobs separate and float to the top. And that's where the gallbladder comes in, squirting bile that breaks up the fat globs into thousands of tiny droplets in a process called emulsification. And this time, to mix things up more, the duodenum uses segmentation contractions as well as peristalsis. By the end of this stage, the chyme is thoroughly mixed up, and digestion is well underway. So to recap, carbs, proteins, fats, and micronutrients look pretty beat up right now. Fibers looking flawless as usual. and water has actually increased because of the addition of the pancreatic juices and bile. The chime now flows on to stage 4, the small intestine, part 2.
Jejunum and the ileum.
By the time the chime reaches here, it's a thin liquid, and most food molecules are now small enough to be absorbed. Absorption happens through tiny finger-like stubs called villi. They're only about 1.5 millimeters tall, but there's millions of them lining the intestinal wall. And every villus has microvilli, even tinier finger-like stubs on the finger-like stubs. Fingerception. They're covered in a final layer of enzymes for any last-minute digestion. And to top it all off, the jejunum and ileum together are about 20 feet long, which creates a massive absorption area. That's right, 20 feet of flesh rope all coiled up inside ya, right here. Now let's see what happens to our 6 victims during this stage. But first, thanks to Genshiниmpact for sponsoring this video. If you've somehow never heard of it, Genshiниmpact is an open-world action RPG where you explore the massive magical continent of Teyvat and harness the 7 elemental powers to battle powerful enemies, solve puzzles, and uncover the world's biggest mysteries. And the best part is you can play it on PC, mobile, and PlayStation. But right now is actually one of the biggest moments in Genshin history. Version 7.0 just launched, finally opening Snezhnaya, a nation players have been waiting over 6 years to explore. In this new update, you'll witness the Fatui Harbingers gathering together and finally meet the Cryo Archon. Version 7.0 also introduces 2 brand new characters, elegant 5-star Odette, known as the Frost Prima Ballerina, and 4-star Alyosha, who has a nose. There are also new collaborations launching with Crunchyroll and Discord. Crunchyroll members can claim exclusive in-game rewards, and for 1 week only, Discord users can earn rewards just by accepting the quest and playing Genshiниmpact for 15 minutes on PC. Click my download link in the description below to jump into the adventure. Completing the Mondstadt Archon quest, which is literally the game's first major story quest, now lets you head straight into Snezhnaya, so it's a perfect time to start playing. And don't forget to redeem the gift code on the screen for some free rewards. Thanks again to Genshiниmpact for sponsoring this video. Now, back to our victims. Carbs and proteins reach the villi and are absorbed straight into the bloodstream. But because fats float on top of the watery chime, they're too far away for the villi to reach. And this is where bile salts from the gallbladder come to the rescue again. They surround the fat molecules, forming tiny packages called micelles. Now, with the fats hidden safely inside, the micelles can swim through the liquid and deliver them straight to the villi, to be absorbed into the lymphatic system. With micronutrients, water-soluble ones go into the bloodstream, and fat-soluble ones go into the lymphatic system, hitching a ride with their fat buddies. Some water is absorbed at this stage too, and because fiber is indigestible, it passes through without any absorption. It typically takes 2 to 6 hours for the food to travel through this stage, before eventually reaching Stage 5, the large intestine, also known as the colon. The remaining material now has very little nutritional value, and is very stinky. The colon's main job is to absorb most of the remaining water, so your body can reuse it somewhere else. By the end, only about 10% is left. The colon is also home to trillions of bacteria, collectively known as the gut microbiome. That might sound crazy, hosting so much bacteria in your body, but these are mostly good bacteria. They boost your immune system by crowding all the bad bacteria out. They produce essential vitamins and amino acids for your body to use. And they can even break down some fiber that the body can't digest on its own, producing substances that keep your gut healthy. But there's still plenty of fiber that neither your body nor the bacteria can break down, so it passes through the colon mostly unchanged. Although it seems like it barely did anything this whole journey, fiber actually played a very important role the entire time. It bulked up the chime and helped regulate how quickly it moved through your intestines, giving your body plenty of time to absorb as many nutrients as possible. Without you, digestion just wouldn't be the same. And finally, mixed with the remaining water, bacteria, shed intestinal cells, bile pigments, and tiny traces of leftover nutrients, the fiber reaches the rectum. having fully transformed into poop. And then out you go. I always knew you were a stinker.
No, please.
See ya next time!